Hi, my name is Isabel.
And my name is Arendera.
My name is Samuel.
And today we're going to interview a student growing up not knowing English.
So can you tell us about your experience growing up?
Growing up was hard since I didn't know English or any of the language. They kind of treated me as a different kid.
Okay. Did you get bullied a lot?
Most of the time, mostly because I didn't really know any of the sports they played. I usually just played soccer, something through my roots, but they usually like try to beat me up because I was like one of the different type of people.
So you like fell apart from all of these students, huh?
Yes.
So now you know like how to speak English, you know, like you understand everything, right? And now you get along with everybody?
Yeah.
Hey, so we're back with another student and we're going to ask her some few questions.
So can you tell us your experience not knowing English?
When I first came, my life was hard not because I didn't know English and I didn't know what they were saying.
Did you get bullied?
No, I was in kindergarten.
Thank you.
Hey, so we're back with another student, and what's your name?
Brandon.
And can you tell us how you grow up not speaking English?
Well, it was hard in school because like the teacher would, it was kindergarten, so it wasn't that hard, but it was still hard learning English in school.
Did you get bullied by the students?
Well, sometimes, because sometimes I didn't say the right words correctly.
Living in a war-torn country can be a dangerous place to raise a family. Bombing, gunshots, and other violence surrounded their daily lives. Many families find refuge here in the U.S. In order for them to have a smoother transition, we need your help. Every Thursday, Del Paso Manor offers these families an opportunity to improve their English skills from community volunteers. The Parent Resource Room provides encouragement and support for those who need it most. Volunteer time, Thursdays 1:15 to 3.
The San Juan Elementary School Math TOSA, and my focus is K2. And this is my 8th year of teaching. And we're here to talk about Common Core math. So just a general overview of what we're gonna be looking at tonight. So we're gonna look at the K-12 math practices, and then we're gonna look at K-5 K-6 content standards, strategies to help your students at home, and then we'll have a Q&A, okay? So before we go into the practices, I actually debated about whether I wanna tell a personal story, but I'm going to. So my family came over as refugees from Vietnam. We're ethnically Chinese, and my parents couldn't help me pass 5th grade. So I got to 5th grade, I said, Dad, can you help me? I don't understand. Well, one, he didn't speak English very well, so reading was out of the question. It was a word problem. And come to find out, my dad didn't actually have education past the 3rd grade in Vietnam. So new country, all that, couldn't help his daughter anymore. So it was kind of like, okay, well, I'll just figure it out myself. So that moment in my life stuck with me. So that being said, I want to thank you all for being invested in your child's education. There's a lot of Common Core bashing on the internet, probably you yourself, it's like, why are we doing this? So we're gonna actually watch a short video about why we're doing this. Why did we move to Common Core? What was wrong with the way we learned math, okay? So this is Ma and Pa Kettle, and as you can see, it's in black and white. It's a very old video, and you can see a lot of misconceptions that Ma and Pa Kettle have about math. So why are we doing Common Core Math? So I want you to take a breather. We are not asking you to go back and learn math, okay? We want to value how our kids think, all right? It's not that we don't want them to be able to do math the way we did, because ultimately when we learned math, it was the most efficient way. We just want to make sure that all students can get there. Okay, so when we memorize addition facts, when we memorize multiplication, when we memorize steps, that works for some kids. And it works for a lot of kids for a while. But eventually there are ramifications in middle school and high school when they can't remember it all. Okay, so I did fine in math until I wasn't able to memorize things. Okay, so grades started to drop as soon as I couldn't remember the procedure. So I want you to keep that in mind. You guys have elementary school kids. It might not seem like a big deal. Well, why don't you just know this? Because they might not be there yet. So our jobs as teachers is to help them, give them strategies so that they can get there. Okay? In each grade level, you will see that they do need mastery of the skills. It's just not where you thought it was anymore, okay? So the first thing we're gonna talk about are the math practices. And these are K-12 math practices. Okay, so this goes from kinder, TK, all the way to 12th grade. So you have a sheet, it's not goldenrod, but it has a summary of what it means what these standards mean. And then a list of questions as to how to help prompt that thinking. So there are 8 math practices, and we want to be able to see them all through the grade levels. Here we go. So if you can find that page, the first one is make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. And then there's a question box next to that. Okay, so I'm not asking you as parents to use any of these questioning strategies, but it gives you an idea of what teachers should be doing to get the students to think about math, okay? These 8 standards are how to math. So I'm gonna give you a minute to look at all 8, and then I'm gonna show you another video. All right, I know that wasn't a long time and there's a lot of content, but I want you guys to watch the video with the idea. You can pick one if you like one. Mine is, my favorite math practice is using appropriate tools strategically. And Paula Bockham, who is the elementary school, middle school math TOSA, she loves construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. So if you have multiple kids and they like to argue, this might be their strong point. So this is what a classroom that is implementing all of these math practices look like. This video is labeled as persisting through challenges. So that's math practice 1, but she does a great job of demonstrating all 8 practices. Okay, so that was a glimpse of what math practices look like in 2nd grade, but this is also what it should look like in middle school, in high school. Notice that a lot of the students were talking to each other. They were questioning each other. And yeah, for this lesson, some of them didn't get to the answer, but I'm more confident that those kids will understand the math than those that are in classrooms where they're just taught the procedure. Okay, so this is also sponsored by PERS, and they have a website that talks about growth mindset for kids and how to understand that as parents. So I suggest for you to go visit that site. And you know, girls' confidence in math starts declining in kindergarten. Okay, so I have a good friend who studies math learning in young children, and that is what she discovered. So, going back to the PowerPoint, does anyone have questions about the math practices? Again, questions, not feelings. Yes, sir.
Yes, now, how does this transition into the more basic middle school courses like algebra, geometry, how is that integrated into this?
So the practices themselves are happening as is. The constructing viable arguments, using tools, looking for patterns, all of those things happen in middle school. I mean, in terms of what math looks like in the classroom, okay? In terms of content, that's a separate set of what to do in math, okay? So the practices are how to math. The content standards are what do I learn at each grade level. So I'm going to go over K6 tonight, and then we'll work on a middle school, high school discussion, okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
There seems to be a change in some of the languages that you're using to describe problems. These sort of number of facts, justification at each level. How can we, who learn with a different language, access the new vocabulary that we're having with our children? One of the difficulties is I have a vocabulary for speaking about math, and that's different than the vocabulary that my daughters are learning. So is there a resource to help us with the vocabulary specifically?
So the question was, the vocabulary that we grew up with is different than what the kids are learning. So is there a resource for that? Yes and no. There isn't a one-stop shop for that, but as you look at, as the kids are getting homework and things like that, we can talk about that, but it can also be something that we develop as my job for parents. So coming soon. There's no good answer for it, but I will say that we don't borrow and carry anymore. I'll talk about why in just a second. And my favorite question as a teacher is, well, what do you think it is? Okay, so really turning it back on the student. Even if when you watch the video, it was about, well, what do you think? And if your student is really struggling with that, then they don't know what they're supposed to do, and it shouldn't be homework, okay? So I said that on camera, FYI. Homework is practice. It's not for you as a parent to teach your child how to do that math, okay? Any other questions? Yes, sir. So Common Core standards were adopted 5 years ago, and that being said, publishers have been working on said standards for 5 years, and they're really just now published. So most school districts have just published Common Core aligned curriculum. So it's like, I gave this example earlier, it's like talking to a professional computer programmer and saying, here's this new way to do it, learn it quick, and then teach some other people. Okay, so there is a learning curve because it is new curriculum, and as, your kids might still be in elementary. Well, actually, I take that back. You're probably not going to see a new adoption of curriculum for a while. It's 7 years, that's by law, before you need to adopt new curriculum. So unfortunately, you are stuck with it.
Is it curriculum or material?
Curriculum, both. So manuals on how to teach Common Core and student materials. So there have been a lot of grassroots groups like Engage New York that has worked on it before publishers started working on it themselves. But really, to be honest, it's just the nature of education. It's like, okay, well, we have new standards, but you don't get money for training, so learn it yourself on top of what you had to learn. So 312 teachers were still responsible for testing of the old standards, even though we had new standards. So it is a conundrum for teachers to try to do both, okay? So this is our very first step into getting going on Common Core. And it is painful, and we acknowledge that. So we can have more discussions, more parent opportunities to get involved as teachers become more familiar with Common Core.
Are there any opportunities like this for teachers?
Yes, yes. So we actually have Sacramento County of Office Ed going out. I'm helping principals with their professional development. It's just a matter of it's a large district. There's a lot of reasons, but you know, at least we're getting going on it. Okay, so with any new adoption, it takes 3 years to get really good at it. Okay? So I can go through the background of Common Core, but that would be another 10 hours. But what I will say about it is that they took the best of what teachers were doing across the nation and put it together as a package. And since I spend all day looking at all of this, and having taught it for years, it's looking at what the kids, or how the kids think, and recording it. Again, I'm gonna reiterate, the kids will get to the ones place plus one place, 10 place, borrow, carry like we know. They will get to that. It's just we're making sure that we say, hey, the way you think is totally fine. And then build that until they go, you know what, this is faster. Let's do it this way. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. And it's okay because it is what it is. So to content standards, and I'm going to, so you have a progression from kindergarten to 5th grade. About what the kids need to learn at each grade level, and I designed it this way. I just lifted it from the standards that we look at as teachers, so that you can see what they learned in kindergarten and what they need to learn in 1st grade and then 2nd grade, so you can see how it grows across the grade level. Okay. So kindergarten is the only place where you will see counting and cardinality, and that means that a child needs to be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when they have a group of things, so if I held this up, a child needs to know that this is 5 and not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many do you have? And they recount. So they need to be able to just identify that this is 5. This is called subitizing. If your child can't do this, there are implications that they will struggle in math, okay? It's called subitizing. You don't need to know the word, you just need to know that a child should be able to identify a group of things quickly, okay? So in your PowerPoint, I'm not gonna read everything, but these are some strategies and what it means to be able to count and what cardinality means, okay? And students should also learn how to skip count, 2, 5, and 10s. And if your child can't do that, there are also ramifications for upper grades. Okay, so to help you at home, have them count everything and ask them how many. So my niece is 2.5, and she can count to 12. But I asked her how many, she has to recount. So, and 2.5, that's fine, right? But for her, I know that she has cardinality to 3. So 1 more, 1 less, 10 more, 10 less. Start counting at 5, or whatever the next 5 numbers, and they should be able to count from anywhere, not just starting at 1. Okay, and again, skip counting. So the reason why I really like Common Core is because it teaches the kids to be flexible with numbers. So a 4 means 2 plus, is a 2 and a 3, or sorry, a 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 0 and 4. And these are called number bonds. I know, you're gonna get expedited math. Okay, and then from there, they can see that numbers are groups of things and they can be broken apart into separate parts. Then they can move into addition. Okay, so Envision is the math curriculum that we have in San Juan, and they are highly invested in the part-part-whole model. So just keep that in mind, part-part-whole. So the two parts are the two bottom pieces, and the whole is the top number. And then the addition strategy. So who here has small kids K2? K2. Okay, so within this, in the next slide, I'll get to that in just a second. These are the strategies that Envision uses. Okay, counting on, which means 5 plus 3 is 5, 6, 7, 8. Doubles and doubles plus 1 is 4 plus 4 is 8. A double plus 1 is 4 plus 5 is 8 and 1 more. Okay, so it's 9. And then starting with 5s, building those, and then your friendly numbers. And I didn't learn all of this vocabulary until I actually taught 2nd grade. Okay, so why did I point out 5 and 10? Those are called benchmark numbers. If they can get there in the lower grades, then they can work off of those. So doubles and doubles plus 1 means 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 plus 5 is 10. So the things that you're adding are the same. Okay? Doubles plus 1 is 4 plus 5. So there's 4 plus 4, which is your double, and then 1 more. See, now you have a cheat sheet for kindergarten to 2nd grade. So I also taught a double plus 2. You can redo 2nd grade, yes. So your double is 4, and then you're adding 2 more. So
that would be double plus 2?
That's a doubles plus 2. Yes, sir.
Part-whole, this strategy, is that part of the Common Core, or is that specific to this publisher?
That is a strategy that's used by different curriculum. It's just a strategy. But this curriculum likes to use it and really focuses on that piece.
It's a strategy that's particular to this publisher's curriculum, not particular to the Common Core standard.
Yeah, you can say that. So some curriculums invest in number lines. It's a strategy. Okay.
Have you heard the term family? Have you heard the term family?
Yes, and I will get to that. So addition strategy, starting with 5s. So if your kids can get to 5s, 5 plus 8. Oh my gosh, this caused me to sweat when I was in 2nd grade. Okay, so there's your double, 5 plus 5, and then 3 more. Oh, because 8 is 5 and 3 more. How did I get to this one? I made 10 and then 3. And your kid doesn't need to know this. They don't. They could just know that 5 and 8, 13. Okay, making 10. Woo! So these were called my friendly numbers, and this was my favorite strategy as a child, get to 10. Okay, so I know that 6 and 4 will make my 10. The lessons are taught this way. I as a teacher, it would be my discretion as to how flexible I am as to what I want my kids to be able to show. So the curriculum will say, use this strategy. But I as a teacher need to make a decision, does it matter?
If they get the right answer.
If they get the right answer. But when I ask the student, can you explain how you got it? They might be going through all this mentally.
Right.
So that's for me as a teacher. But if your teacher is following the curriculum as is, they will ask you to show it this way. Okay? All right, so turnaround facts. What does that mean? It's just, and I really don't like that. But it shows the commutative property. Is that 3 plus 5 is 5 plus 3. Believe it or not, the kids really they don't know that. They think that 3 plus 5 is completely separate than 5 plus 3. Okay? So what does that mean for you as a parent? Is to use this graphic to help you. It's like, oh, okay. It tells you when you're adding things, which strategy that would probably make the most sense. But again, your kid eventually needs to know their facts like that, okay? But sometimes it just takes a little longer. So I will make these available. And I Googled it online. Okay, any questions about single digit addition? Okay, here's the hard part. Facts to 20. So the kids need to know their addition facts to 20 by memory at the end of 2nd grade. So in kindergarten, they're working on 0 to 5. That means for 1st grade, they're gonna work from 6 to 10, their 10 facts. And then 2nd grade, they're working on their addition facts to 20. Okay, and I wanna emphasize the end of 2nd grade. This was a difficult task when I taught 2nd grade, is that they didn't come knowing their 0 through 5s, they didn't come knowing their 0 through 10s. I, as a 2nd grade teacher, had to work on all of it. And that becomes pressure to go, time test, just know it. Where I know that it's not the best strategy. So this is a compensation strategy, 16 plus 9. I'm breaking up the 9 into a 4 and a 5 so I can make a 10. Okay, so it's 20 plus 5. And I know what 20 plus 5 is, it's 25. Expanded form means to take 2-digit numbers, 3-digit numbers, and pull it out into its place values. So if it were a 3-digit number, let's say 316, it's 300 plus 10 plus 16. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of flexibilities of numbers. So if the kids can only see 16 and 16, what do you mean? I can break 16 into 10 and 16, okay, or 10 and 6. And I know 6 plus 9 is 15. So 10 and 15, oh, that's easy, that's 25. Okay, and this is benchmark numbers. I am going to borrow. I'm gonna regroup, okay? I'm gonna take a 1 from the 16 and make a 10. That's supposed to be 15. I know, can you just fix that on your paper? Oh wait, there's more. Okay, so I made the 9 a 10, and I go, okay, well I know that 16 plus 10 is 26. Oh, well since I added 1, I need to take it away. I know, it's long and convoluted, right? But believe it or not, kids think about it like this. So you can visit the teaching channel, and they will you can see extensive videos of students talking like this. Blew my mind as a teacher. I was like, really? What? Okay. Whatever works for you. Yes, sir.
So after they learn all those strategies, they think about like that and everything, do we then teach them to put them on top of each other? And
correct.
Whatever it's called.
Yes.
Whatever you call it.
Regrouping.
Regrouping, okay. So
Okay.
Once they figure out logic how to do all that, then you teach them faster.
Yes. This is the conceptual piece. And so the question was, do we teach them how to stack the numbers and add the ones place and borrow and carry and all that? Yes. Yes, we do. But they will get it faster, that process, if they understand all that in their head.
So is that the difference between Common Core and old math?
Yes.
All that stuff up front?
Yeah. That and the 10 billion standards that teachers were expected to teach.
So you want to get them to conceptualize it first before you just do the straight numbers.
Correct. Okay. So some kids get the procedural, but I swear, I didn't make this up. Kids really think like this. I've seen many, many videos. I've watched my own students do it. It's weird, but that's how they do it. But do I teach them how to stack the numbers and all that jazz? Yes. And I want to re-emphasize that. It's about letting the kids think the way they do and then helping them along the way so that they can reach the ultimate goal. okay? So valuing how your children think. All right, so I do want to point out that I'm not going to go through all the subtraction strategies, but I do want to emphasize that all of your operations is based on addition. They have to have, in Envision Math, they have to have a strong concept of addition to get the subtraction piece. They have to understand the addition to get multiplication. And then they have to have a strong sense of that multiplication to understand the division. Okay, so if your kids are struggling with procedures, ask them if they, or check to see if they have their addition. And if they're just memorizing, then that might be where they're struggling. Okay, so yes, sir.
If they are struggling, where do we go from there? What is the next step to help them if they aren't getting it?
I will talk about that at the end. I will talk about resources that we have, okay? So I'm not gonna walk through all the subtraction strategies, but here's a slide about fact families. This is what I was talking about in terms of students needing to understand addition in order to get the subtraction. They honestly will see that 3 plus 6 is different than 7 plus 3, or yeah, and then seeing that part whole piece again. Okay, so. And then I included, okay, so this is how multi-digit addition might look in your classroom. So we as teachers want to be able to bridge the gap between concept or concrete and abstract. So having things for the kids to manipulate, for a student to understand that 26 means that there are 26 things, that I am adding to 13 things, and giving them those things. So I have 23 or 26, and I'm adding 13. So if your students are having trouble with the stacking the numbers and all that, go back to drawing. Have them draw it out. What does 26 mean? What does 13 mean? Okay? And then that expanded form again. So this one would be with borrowing and carrying. I'm not stacking these numbers on purpose so that students can see that there are 26 things and I'm adding 27 things. Here are my 27 things. Oh, I can see I made a 10. So now I have 53. Okay, so again, if your children are struggling with adding and borrowing and carrying all that, have them draw the picture. Okay, subtraction. This is the scary part because you have to, in our language, borrow and carry. So I have 63 and I need to take away 27. So if they're drawing the picture, if they don't know whether or not to borrow and carry, have them draw or regroup and all that jazz. Have them draw the picture by taking away 20, and then they'll see the 3 and go, oh, I don't have enough. So I have to make a trade. Break that into 10, take away my 27, 5, 6, 7, so I have 35. All right, so really briefly about multiplication and division. So, does anyone have questions about subtraction? You can email me, it's okay. We can have a support group. So multiplication starts in 2nd grade. And I think it really truly starts with skip counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, all that, okay? But we also introduce arrays. And this is just how to arrange things. So there's this video floating around about a parent talking about, what's going on? So this is 5 plus 5 plus 5. Kids do need to know that multiplication is repeated addition. Okay, or it's 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. Or it's 5 3 times. Or 3 5 times. Okay, so I taught this lesson in 2nd grade, the end of 2nd grade, and they're like, oh, I see it's 5 3 times, right? So it's 5 times 3. And they're like, oh yeah. So have you heard 5 times 3 4? Yeah, I'm multiplying. I'm like, yes.
So I had a question. So how come in this instance you do 5 plus 5 plus 5 instead of 10 plus 5?
Because the array is set up in rows of 5. Sorry, where? I'm using groups of 5 in this case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in division, if I said, sorry, I should have taken that. Well, because I talk about multiplication division. So if I said 15 divided by 5, right? I could look at it as 15 minus 5, minus 5, minus 5. Oh, I have 3 groups. Okay, so you as a parent, what could you do, right? Oh my gosh. So this gives you an idea of how to get your student to get multiplication. Okay, so 1s, 2, 5s, and 10s is skip counting. 3s and 4s, you're adding groups of 3 or 4. Looking for patterns for 9s, and then the distributive property, I'll talk about that, for 6, 7, and 8, okay? And then it goes back to fact families, that multiplication and division are related. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this distributive property. You can figure out really any math fact if you know your 2s, 3s, and 5s, okay? So 6 times 8, also causing sweating of bullets. Just, oh yeah, because I grew up with time tests. I could never get it because I didn't know what 6 plus 8 was, or 6 times 8 was, okay? So again, with the number flexibility, we know that 8 is 5 plus 3. So I can multiply 6 times 5 will give me 30, and 6 times 3 will give me 18. So I know that 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, and it's modeled with the array. Okay. So this is the very beginnings of multiplication in 3rd grade. And then they need to know their basic math facts by the end of 3rd grade. So you as a parent can help your child learn to build this multiplication table, okay? So 1s are easy, and then you fill in your 2s, then your 5s and 10s, then repeated addition with 3 and 4, repeated addition, looking for patterns for 9. So all digits in the product of a 9 will add up to 9. So 1 plus 8 is 9. 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. I don't know if you knew that. And then using that distributive property for the last few ones. Okay? And they are expected to know these math facts by the end of 3rd grade. So they get into more complicated multiplication as we move on. And since we're kind of running out of time, I wanted to make sure I get to resources. So if your kid's in upper grade, you can look through the PowerPoints and send me emails. I know, it's a generic cop-out, right? And then there's division. This would be really a week-long talk for all of you to really understand what's going on. And then we introduce fractions as numbers in 3rd grade. But we talk about halves and quarters and thirds in second. We talk about half. Fractions are scary, and that's okay. So students are introduced in 3rd grade, and they start working with addition of fractions in 4th grade, and then they work on, I think, multiplication in 5th grade. I'm not the upper grade elementary person. And this is, so the last slide here, sorry. So this just gives you an idea of the vocabulary that they are working with for K6 for geometry. Okay, so what does this new curriculum look like? In K2, there is a homeschool connection page that your child might bring home, and usually there's a game on the back. So if you're not seeing that, you can ask your teachers about it. All right, so this is the K2 homeschool connection. Again, if you're not seeing it, please ask your teacher about it. And it talks about what concept the kids are working on. And for K5, there's an additional letter. So if you're not seeing that, ask your teacher. Okay, what does homework look like? So San Juan has purchased a reteach and practice page book for each student. And these are consumables, so you might be seeing these come home. Okay, and I'm gonna re-emphasize, if your student is struggling with homework, then it's not practice. And please write that feedback. My child didn't understand this, and give it back to the teacher. That's valuable feedback as a teacher. Don't just say it was too hard, okay? So really let the teacher know they didn't understand this. If teachers are sending home homework that you have to teach, then it's not homework. It shouldn't be homework, okay? You should not be spending your time with your child having a fit about finishing homework.
So if our children don't get it and we write that back, but the work isn't done, does the child get knocked?
That's a discussion to have with your teacher, but I would not penalize a child because they didn't get homework. If they put in the effort and said, you know, I spent 5 minutes, I didn't just go, I can't do it, and put it aside. If they really tried and they're like, you know what, I can't do it, write that note. Okay, but that is a discussion to have with the teacher. It's a team effort, it really is. Like if you're noticing that I'm writing these notes and nothing's happening, they're still getting that same homework, then ask for a meeting. Okay. Yes, sir.
I'd like to use Khan Academy at times. Is that still a good online resource?
Yes, absolutely. Khan Academy is fantastic. Yeah, Khan Academy. So I'm gonna skip through this real quick. Oh, here. I'm gonna hit escape and I'm gonna look at my document camera. So I thought I sent this out to be copied for you, but I did make a list of websites and, oh, you do have it, yay! So some of you do have it. If you didn't get a copy tonight, it's okay, it is online, and I will make it available so that you do get a copy. Okay, so the first page are websites that can help you. The caveat is that some of them have ads, so please preview them as parents before you put your child on there, okay?
Some of them are
they have ads. Okay. And the rest of these are all apps that you can, they're iPad apps, and I use my iPad a lot I only had one, but I use it as best I could for practice. Okay. So if you didn't, these ones, I shared this with teachers. So the ones that I highlighted were the ones that I liked as a teacher to use my kids. I use MobiMax, but it's on free trial. And this one, so for MobiMax, you take a pretest, and depending on how the student did, it will adjust the lesson to where they are. And it's math, ELA, English language, all that. Okay? Yes, sir.
Question on tools and apps. I noticed that my daughter is using some kind of app. She actually snaps a picture of the math problem and just gives her right away all the answers and the process how to solve it. And, she writes the answers. To me, that is not a good tool for her to use. And so I was wondering, what's your thought on that?
There are. So the comment was that there are apps that you can take a picture of the problem. There are also websites that do that. It's out there. Okay, so it will automatically give you the answer
Not only that, even the process
and how to do it. Okay? So if you know your child is doing that, it would be worth saying, hey, how do you know that? Can you explain it to me?
Or is that how we can learn it too? We don't understand. We can take a picture, right?
It's for higher math. Actually, I haven't tried it with elementary school math, but yeah. If your kids are approaching middle school and high school and you didn't know how to do it, you know what, you can Google that. But there are websites out there that do that. Yes, sir.
On my daughter's homework, it actually has the little tab on it that you can take a picture of, and it gives you that information. And that's from San Juan.
Oh, that's the little box.
It has the little box on the homework page.
Oh, yeah. So let's take a look at that real quick. My email, and now you're gonna all email me, is Van, V as in victory, A, N as in Nancy, so that's my first name, dot, L-A-Y, my last name, at sanjuan.edu. I should have given you Paula's email, but you can email me. And I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. So I'm gonna get to the parent page on how to get to, so unfortunately, since I don't have a class, I can't show you exactly how to do it, but you do have a page to show you how to log on to your student's account. Okay? You do not have your own portal. You're using your student account to do that. So this page has all the information that you need to be able to log on to get the curriculum electronically. So I'm gonna log on. You don't sign on this way, just now you all know my sign in, hold on.
That code?
Oh, sorry. So this is my teacher page. Actually, I should log on as a fake student. So I had to create a fake class. So when you go through this process, through Portal, it'll take to your students page. This is a first grade class. When you click on the green button, you'll see all this. So on the practice page, it'll tell you what they're working on. You can go to each topic. Hey, someone emailed me, thanks. And you can see what your kid is seeing in class. So this is where it will help you, is developing the concept. The eyeball, it's a little video of how to do this math. Oh.
Do you see any patterns or arrangements of dots that you've seen before? Do you see the 4? Do you see the 1? Let's look at these two patterns. How many dots are in the first pattern? This side has 4 dots. How many dots are in the other pattern? This side has 1 dot. Another way to look at the card is to see the dots as one group. How many dots are on the card altogether?
Okay, so it does pause and you have to click to keep, I'm not gonna make you watch first grade math, but so look for the little eyeball, okay? And then there's the practice page, there's the reteach page that you should be getting or maybe getting for homework. And then there are things called center activities, they're games that you can play, additional games for practice. Yes? You go through your student portal, not the parent portal. Yeah. And you can ask your teacher for that information.
So
yes.
when we log on there, everything that we're seeing is relevant to where our child is and what they're learning.
Yes. Yeah. And then, so if you go to classes on that page, you'll actually see a game center, math tools, so virtual manipulatives for your kids to use. There's money and things like that, number lines. Again, that's under classes. And then it's not obvious, but here's your student work mats and things like that, what they're doing in class.
So like this is on there then?
Yes. So if your child is notorious for losing paper, this is where you go.
So it would tell you how to do like number 13, yes or no?
Will it tell you? No, because this is the student access. Okay? So if you're not getting the parent or homeschool connection, you can get it online through your student portal. So this is your students' your login as a parent is your student login.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but the teacher does need to assign the curriculum to your student. So if you're logging in and you can't get to it, ask your teacher. Okay, so other supports. So you have the math websites and apps list. So San Juan, www.sanjuan.edu. So this is how you get to the math page. Academics, then go to Common Core, and then go to math. It's convoluted to get there, but that's a kind of a place, that's where you would go if you want to know more about even high school, middle school, and high school too, okay? So the question at the beginning was, is this research-based and all that? So California Department of Education, okay? This website will take you to everything you want to know about Common Core in California. Like this is where I go. And you can go there too. This is all free information, but there's a lot of information on there. So I'm gonna put that out there. But this is available for you to look at. If you're really confused, look at that, send me an email, what were they talking about? It's okay, you can talk to me, okay? There is one or two. It'll show you, I don't have it memorized, but they do, it's bolded. There are little symbols to show you what was added.
And they're only allowed to add 50% and no more.
Or else it's not Common Core anymore. We would be moving back to No Child Left Behind standards, which would be everything. Algebra has not changed. Geometry has not changed. Pre-calculus hasn't changed. The way you do math, or what you need to know, that content isn't different. But what they're moving towards in San Juan in middle school is integrating all of it. Just like we teach in K-5, we're gonna teach your numbers and operations and geometry and measurement and all that. They're starting to move towards that. But high school teachers are very resistant. It's like, why do I need to do this? I've done it this way for forever, and why do I need to change? Because we don't have enough engineers. We don't have enough computer sciences. We as a country are outsourcing all of that because we don't have enough people in our own country to fill those jobs. So it's not that you can't do it. Again, the kids will learn how to do that. We're just trying to build their conceptual knowledge. Yes, ma'am, and then sir.
So what are the tests showing in California and then in our country? What are the tests showing? How are the kids doing?
How are, as a nation?
As a nation and as a state.
That's a good question. So the question was, how are kids doing in terms of testing?
Because I've worked with math stations the last few years, but not doing it this year. And it's just downright embarrassing. And but I'm not the only parent. We're like, we don't have the key. We can't help the kids.
So SBAC is our state test. This will be the second year that it's officially being administered, okay? San Juan is just now implementing Common Core. There is a huge gap. There is a lot of work. And as a math teacher, it's a little scary, okay? So I taught in Davis. We implemented Common Core 5 years ago. Exactly. The kids, so The SBAC test is asking about how they think. The kids in Davis were able to maintain their testing with a more rigorous, or their scores with a more rigorous test. What does that mean for San Juan? It means that there was a drop in math scores. So we need to get going on this, teachers, administrators, parents, so that our kids can do well in tests. But I do want to say that the test is not the end-all be-all of a child. Yes, sir, and then ma'am.
So what I've reviewed a lot of the Common Core sections, and the standards, I mean, they seem reasonable and basic. But the parts that confuse me often are what I think is the curriculum. And I think there's a lot of convolution of the Pearson curriculum with the Common Core standards. A lot of the language that I see, I understand what the standards are saying, but the things like that you were showing earlier with the families and stuff like that doesn't appear in the standards. That appears in this curriculum. Do we have evidence suggesting this curriculum is a good implementation of the Common Core standards?
You and I can be best friends. So the question was, are the strategies that Envision is using, sorry, one more time.
Is the curriculum proven to help teach the core?
Yes, okay. I didn't rephrase it very well. So is the curriculum helping the students learn the Common Core standards well? So no curriculum is perfect. I'm gonna put that out there. There are things about Envision that I would change. And that is something that we, parents, teachers, administrators, need to communicate to the publishers about what is missing or what we can do better, okay? So, and I encourage the teachers, you need to look at the framework as well as your curriculum. The problem is if you've never taught Common Core, you want something. So our curriculum is that something, and we're working as a district to kind of boost it. Okay, I have to say I've looked at a lot of curriculum, and this one has a lot of pluses, and there are things that we need to supplement. But feedback is important, so you send me those emails, lots and lots of emails.